Hey guys, it's Darthmagus Plays here, and today we're gonna be ranking every single Nintendo console. Everything through the NES to the Virtual Boy to the Switch. We go from the S tier here to D tier, which is the worst, because there's not really any Nintendo consoles that are outright bad. First up is the NES. NES came out in 1985 and was Nintendo's first console in America. It included games like... Oh wait, I forgot to mention. We ranked this thing based on the console's hardware and the games it came on, and like how good it worked. So first up is the NES. The NES came out in 1985 and hosted classic games like Kirby's Dream Land, Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and Punch-Out. But it's one of the consoles that since it's the oldest console, it's the worst. It's probably the worst console. It was revolutionary, but I don't think it deserves to be as high. So I think I'll put it solidly in B tier. Next up, we're doing this in chronologically, is the Game Boy. The Game Boy was Nintendo's first handheld device outside of the Game & Watches. This has many, many classic games, including Pokemon Red and Blue, Tetris, and the Super Mario Land games. So, but graphically, you need a light for it to work, and stuff like that. So I think it has to go in high C. But the games it has are some of the best. Next up is the the SNES. The SNES came out in 91, I believe, and it had games like Super Punch-Out, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, and Yoshi's Island. I feel like it definitely had some great games. It had some great third-party capabilities, and I definitely feel like I feel like it was most certainly better than the NES. So I think I'm going to put it up in A tier. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and rank the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy was Nintendo's attempt at making a VR console. It was a massive flop. The graphics were horrible. They made games look just really bad, and they would give you headaches and stuff. And none of the games in there were really good. So I think this is Nintendo's one and only D tier console. Next up, I'm going to rank the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Color was a slimmer Game Boy with color. Some of the games it had, the most notable games for the Game Boy Color were the second gen Pokemon games, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. So I feel like it only makes sense it goes in the B tier above the Game Boy. Next up is the Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 was Nintendo's first console with 3D graphics, and it had such classic games as Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Star Fox 64, and the original Super Smash Bros. So I think this console deserves an S tier for everything it did. Next up is the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance was the final iteration in the Game Boy series, and it hosted such games as the Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and other games like that. So I think this console deserves the A tier slot as the best Game Boy by far. Next up is the GameCube. The GameCube is the system that came out in, I believe, 2001. It was, I think the GameCube had many classic games. Super Mario Sunshine, it had Luigi's Mansion, and most notably, Super Smash Bros. Melee. The console's graphics are impressive too. It was a wild step up from the Nintendo 64's, and it showed that Nintendo was growing a mastery of 3D games for their consoles. The GameCube probably also has one of the most iconic controllers in all of Nintendo. Every console since the GameCube has had a way for you to plug in a GameCube controller to it as a way to play games like the Smash Bros. Series, and now Super Mario Sunshine on the Nintendo Switch. So I think this console has to be a high B, because overall it didn't sell very well, and it wasn't really and it got better from there. Next up was the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS was the first clamshell Nintendo system, and it had many great games. It had Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Black, White 2, and Heart Gold Soul Silver. Heart Gold Soul Silver are some of my favorite games of all time. It also had games like Super Mario 64 DS. But at the end of the day, it did have several issues, which I think stopped it from being the best. So I think I'm gonna have to put it in high in B below the NES. And I do that because of a later console. Next up is the Wii. The Wii is Nintendo's best-selling home console. It came out in 2006 and was the first Nintendo console to use real motion controls. It had such classic games as Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Punch-Out, many Metroid Prime games, and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I think this console, because of everything it did, how well it did, I feel like it 100% deserves to be an S tier. The next console, which is why the DS is where it is the 3DS. The 3DS is the second console to use the clamshell design, and I feel like everything about it is an improvement over the DS. The only thing the DS has over the 3DS is that it can play, most of the variations can play Game Boy Advance games. So the 3DS has backwards compatibility to the DS. It has better screens. It has a circle pad and a D-pad instead of just a D-pad. It has It has better buttons. It's improvements. A better use of the internet, but probably biggest of all, it has a 3D function where you can basically make the 3D graphics look better. It also has some just great games. Some of which include Super Mario 3D Land, Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS, New Super Mario Bros. 2, Metroid Samus Returns, Kirby Triple Deluxe, Star Fox 64 3D, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, Legend of Zelda, Link Between Worlds, and many, many, many more. So I think this console definitely deserves to be in S tier as the best, just the best handheld. Full-on handheld. Next console is the Wii U. The Wii U was the Wii U is a console after the Wii, but the worst part of the Wii U is probably its name. But because it was the Wii U, it didn't sell very well because it was called the Wii U. So a lot of people thought it was simply an attachment to the Wii U, the Wii. The saving grace of the Wii U was that it had some amazing games, almost all of which are being ported to the Switch. Captain Toad, Treasure Tracker, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. It had Super Mario 3D World. It had Mario Kart 8. It had that, and then it had many, many more, including The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I kept that a bit more on the Switch game. The biggest thing that doesn't make sense about the Wii U was some of its virtual console stuff. Firstly, some of those games didn't run as good as on the Wii, like Super Mario 64, for example. But to me, what makes less sense is that the Wii U had virtual console to the DS, while the 3DS didn't. Well, I feel like it makes much more sense for the 3DS to have had that. Overall, I think I'm going to put the Wii U in C tier, because a lot of the games on there that were great are now on the Switch. Speaking of the Switch, Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's latest console and its second best-selling console. It is its first hybrid. Basically, it can be on their TV or just as a handheld. And overall, I feel like it's Nintendo's best work yet. It has some great games, not counting all of the ports it has. It has The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It has Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake. It has Super Mario Odyssey, the best Smash game, which is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and many, many, many more. Not even speaking of the ports, which basically gives this console the greatest library of Nintendo games. I think the only thing this thing needs is just more GameCube games, because it has almost every 3D Mario by February, except for 2. It has so many great games, and almost every Nintendo SNES and NES game. This console's not over yet, but I feel like the Nintendo Switch has a bright future ahead of it. So I have to put this thing solidly in the top of S tier. So looking back on it, the 1 D tier console is the Virtual Boy. The 2 C tier consoles are the Wii U and the Game Boy. The 4 B tier consoles are the GameCube, the NES, the DS, and the Game Boy Color. The A list, the 2 and A are the Game Boy Advance and the SNES. And the S tier game consoles are the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo 64, the Nintendo Wii, and the Nintendo 3DS. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you're interested in what I make next, and please comment if you have any ideas of how I can improve. Everyone, have a good day.